interchangeable. And something really happened, weird just happened just now. I had to press the record button like 12 times to get this thing to record. It's finally decided to do it. So maybe there's a little bit reluctance from the universe for me to do this video. Anyway, why and what is this video going to be about? It is going to be, we're going to be doing another look at Donald Trump's chart. Now, maybe I can squeeze in a bit of Kamala Harris as long as I don't go on for too long. Why am I doing this video? The main reason why is because it is said to be the case on the news. It's made international news. I saw this on the BBC as well as USA channels. I'm sure it's being reported elsewhere. Is that there has been allegedly, a second assassination attempt on Degrasse. It is said that there was someone quite literally hiding in the bushes with some kind of gun. I think it was, I can't remember the category of gun, but something semi-automatic. And they said there were gunshots heard, etc. And then this person has been arrested. I forget his name. His name has gone out of my head, and I'm sure he's now being questioned. And they said that his car was registered to his daughter, and so of course this one isn't dead. But do you remember what I said, though? Do you remember what I said? And in fact, I was reminded of this in the comments, actually. I said, Degrasse is still in a lot of danger. You know, many of you will remember me saying that. And I said, look, this assassination attempt possibly isn't going to be the last. Do you remember? I can't remember which video it was. I tried to look through and find out which video where I said it exactly, but it was when I was doing a read on Trump. I think it was Kamala and JD Vance. And I also pulled cards. I can't remember which video. I can't remember if it was a recorded video or a live. Because, you know, obviously us YouTubers, we make a lot of videos. You can't always remember everything that you've done. But I think it would have been... So let's see, we're in September now. So it must have been a few months ago, because it would have had to have been after the assassination attempt, which was around the conventions, wasn't it? It was like just before the thingamajig convention. So that means the RNC convention, which means it must have been July time that assassination attempt happened. So it must have been after that. So maybe we're talking like end of July, early August or something. And today's date, it is now the 16th of September 2024. My UK time is 8:20. It's just hit 8:20. And I remember I pulled some cards and stuff, and I said, listen, because of the time sequence that he's in, he is still not out of danger. If anything, the danger might be increasing. Yeah, it might be increasing. So Degrasse, now, of course, this is what is, you know, very special about Vedic astrology, because there's these things which are called Dasha sequences. You may not have heard me describe it that much, but it is a in fact, no, you would have heard me talk about it, actually, because it's everyone's life is essentially influenced by a particular planet. You have your natal chart, and then you have this thing which is called the Vimsatori Mahadasha sequence. And I know that sounds like that's a long word, but it denotes a time period in your life when planets in your chart have much more of an influence over your life. And it's like your soul is in the backseat of a certain car. So imagine every planet has a car. So you guys have seen this book by now. So let me just find, if I can find one of the illustrations. You'd think I'd have the page numbers all down for this particular one. Let me just see if I can just, oh, here we go. All right. So this is the illustrations in the book, and what we have down here, actually where my finger is, these are these different cars, yeah, which I use as an analogy for the planets. So K2 I've given as a muscle car, Venus I've described as a Rolls Royce, the Sun is a Bentley, etc. Mars, being very quick, is a Porsche, and I've illustrated this. This is one of the illustrations that I put in the book. So what is Duck L'Orange is in his Jupiter Dasha. The Jupiter Dasha lasts for 16 years. Yeah, 16 years is the, 16 years is, in fact, I can just look here and just check my own work, can't I? Here it is. Yeah, there we are. So there's the Jupiter Dasha, which I have as this kind of big Winnebago, and oh, it's a little bit blurry. Let's see if it's going to focus. It did focus earlier. Anyway, it's 16 years. 16 years is the point. And it was the Jupiter Dasha that basically brought Duck L'Orange the presidency. Yeah. Why? Because Jupiter is a lucky planet. So many of you will be going, oh my God, are we going to have to deal with, you know, Duck L'Orange for this long? No, not necessarily. But what is, his chart was a bit stronger than Hillary Clinton's. And anyone that becomes the leader of the United States will always have or any nation will always have a strong connection with it astrologically. You've heard me say this before. And those two are running against each other. And what happened was just pretty much either on or just after when the election happened, Duck L'Orange came into his Jupiter Dasha. That means his soul was put into the backseat of Jupiter's car, and then he was being driven along. When a Dasha sequence starts, it's always that planet who owns that car or vehicle, metaphorically, that is the driver, but then the drivers change. And that's how I was able to predict that more accountability and stuff was going to, and more difficulties were going to come for Trump in October of 2023. Now, you guys know this was very controversial when I said it at the time when I announced this news, when I said that full accountability and all of this stuff, repercussions wouldn't start for Trump until October 2023, because I was saying this in November of 2021. So people were like, this is outrageous. Yeah. One of the people who was on my recent retreat in Santa Fe, bless her, Donna, you know, she confessed that she did throw something at the screen when she heard me say that. But nonetheless, it has proved to be true. Yeah. And this is when, you know, the accountability in K2. So what is, he's now in his Jupiter K2 Dasha. What does that mean? So going back to the illustration again, and this is one of the things I taught in my class. If we go here with the Jupiter Dasha, yeah. Yes, it is 16 years, but the drivers change along the journey. Yeah. It's not just 16 years of Jupiter driving. It goes in a fixed sequence. So in October of 2023, that's when he went into his K2. Yeah. Now, K2 is the south node of the moon that I refer to as snip, snip. Remember, snip, snip. That's what I call him. Rahu, the north node of the moon, I call gobble, gobble. Now, what it is, snip, snip has a very spiritualizing, or can have a very spiritualizing influence, because he's known as the moksha kaka, which means liberation from this world. One of the ways that we get liberated from this world is what? Death. Yes, death. Now, does it always mean K2's death? Look, any planet can produce death in the chart, like just any planet can produce life. So don't want people panicking about like, I have K2 somewhere. We all have K2. We all have Rahu. We all have Pluto. We all have Venus. We've all got all the planets in our charts, and we're all here living. And at some point we will die. So don't fear death too much. It will come when it comes. Usually, ideally, when we're older, but not always. Anyway. The point is that Jupiter is actually a very spiritual planet. And when Jupiter and Ketu get together, it can very much spiritualize a person. So before you throw coffee at the screen, we all know that Duck L'Orange is not a very spiritual person. He isn't. However, the combination, the energetic combination of Jupiter and Ketu does bring that energy in. And this is something that Ketu does. If a person is not spiritual, then what will happen is when Ketu gets a chance to influence the chart, he can become very violent. Now, I'll tell you something interesting because, okay, Rahu, the north node of the moon, is said to be like Saturn. Yeah, Saturn is the planet of fear, planet of survival. Rahu can deal a lot with fears and phobias, addiction, drugs, etc., and stuff like that. But it is said, this is what the ancients say, Rahu is like Saturn. Ketu is very much like Mars. But Ketu is the body of the dragon without the head. And I always say Ketu can be silent but violent. Yeah. So Trump, we're going to look at his chart. Trump is now in his Jupiter Ketu. Jupiter is a spiritualizing planet, ideally, and so is Ketu. When their energies come together, it can increase the moksha quotient in a person's life. If they're more inclined to spirituality or just less resistant to it, what will happen is this might be a time when they find a great guru, where they go on spiritual pilgrimage, or they have spiritual things happen in their life which wake them up. Yeah, wake them up to their mortality, wake them up to the wider spirituality of the earthly plane and our existence here. However, if a person is too materialistic, too attached to their wealth, their status, and their ego, snip can become very aggressive and can even take people out. Ketu is known for this. Ketu can literally come and take you out. Yeah. Because he's like, you're not growing in your spirituality. Oh, look at this, look at this. Or he takes away huge quantities of wealth, etc. Now he doesn't care about wealth, and he's not always necessarily negative to wealth. But if wealth and status are part of a person's spiritual block, then very often what he will do is he will take that stuff away to humble that person. Now, you've seen already how Duck Larange has been facing these huge fines and stuff like that, but he is still under the influence of Jupiter, as you've heard me mention, and Jupiter does represent the judiciary. And I said he will still get help from the judiciary. Look how much help he's been getting. Not universally, but where it counts. Yeah, Judge Cannon, SCOTUS, yeah, and some other very favorable things that have been falling his way of late. Yeah. So remember that Jupiterian influence is still there. Jupiter by transit is going through Trump's 10th house, which does deal with career and public standing, etc. Uranus is also there as well, which is giving this very unpredictable and tricky part. He's also having his Uranus return. Now it becomes exact at the age of 84, but it tends to start in the late 70s because Uranus spends about 7 years in one sign, but it takes him 84 years to make his full revolution. This is one of the biggest exit ramps for planet Earth for most human beings. Yeah, most people, when you actually look statistically, go around about 83, 84. If you decide to stay longer on Earth after that, if you have a choice, then you'll probably go on to your 90s, yeah, or even older. So this is a famous off ramp. Yeah, why I say that? For me as an astrologer, it's a clear indicator that someone is getting ready for their off ramp. Yeah, because they're having their first Uranus return. So Biden's having his, Trump is having his. Yeah, but as we know, Duck Larange doesn't know how to hold a Bible up the right way. So I suspect he's significantly less spiritual than Joe Biden. In which case, Ketu is going to have a point to prove. Yeah. Now, the important thing is that his Dasha sequence is changing. And you would have heard me say before, and I'll show this on the screen, he is about to go into his Jupiter Venus. And again, remember what I said? I said the energy of this stuff, depending on the planet, when it's a big gas giant like Saturn or Jupiter, The influences of them coming into the Dasha can start about 3 months before. But even so, even with Venus, even though she's much smaller, or Mercury, that could be 6 weeks or a month before. So I said, pay attention, guys. In August, things are going to be starting to probably get worse for Trump, which they have been doing. If we think of Kamala's resurgent, yes, Venus is women. When I say resurgence, I mean Kamala's just surgence in general, yeah, because she's now obviously the head nominee. And I said in August, this energy will start to manifest stronger, but especially in September. I said, with the closer we get to September 29th, which is when Venus officially starts driving the Jupiter car, I said, this is when things could get really dicey for Trump. You know, in that lead up, he's had a second assassination attempt. So let me just read you a bit about Ketu. And I'm going to let you also understand why I think Venus could be even more dangerous. Yeah, even more dangerous. So here I've gone to this section here in my book, which is, what is this, page 277. And I describe the qualities of Ketu. I do the positive and I do the negative. Or the shadow qualities. Let me just read the shadow qualities, because this is what is effectively happening with Duck L'Orange right now. Shadow qualities of Ketu. Weirdos. Yeah. Weirdos. The weirdos are out to get him. Yeah. Mental health issues, social awkwardness, homelessness, fanatics and lunatics, extreme fear of germs and microbes, arsonists and shooters. Yeah, I did emphasize this before. Here, just so you can see. Arsonists and shooters, people who plot dark things in their basements, conspirators, mutinists, excessive scrutiny, cult members, dropouts, drink and drug addicts to the point of oblivion, yeah, headlessness or abandons all responsibility in life, excessive scrutiny and obsession with minute details. Think about that. Think about that energetic influence, and then think about how much Trump is surrounded by that kind of energy now. Yeah, if you think of like J.D. Vance, for example, his running mate, he is a weirdo. Yeah. And I think this is why, with the Democrats and particularly with Kamala Harris emphasizing the weirdo, you know, saying they're weird, this is why I think it's really struck home. Have you noticed that Trump can't stop going on about it? We're not weird. We're not weird. It's because it's true. Yeah, he's literally in that weirdo energy. Look at who has been picked. I don't think he personally picked J.D. Vance. He wanted someone else. I think that was who he was told to go with. But J.D. Vance is an eccentric. He is a weird character, because he has the intelligence to understand what's going on and is just playing the game. Yeah, but it's in this deeply strange, weird kind of way. Ketu can also represent people who've got very light eyes. And that's, you know, J.D. Vance kind of falls into that bracket. He's also got that lunatic helping him, assisting him now. What's her name? Laura Loomer. I mean, the names are just a giveaway, isn't it? Laura Loomer, Laura Lunatic, more like. Who's what? The extreme white supremacist, self-confessed, you know, pro-white supremacist person that is now one of his, you know, advisors. We've had that shooter, obviously, that tried to get him at the rally, you know, grazed the ear or whatever. Obviously, there's so many conspiracy theories around that. And now we've got this other, loner on the golf course, yeah? Yeah, and this one has been caught. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to explain why I think Venus may be potentially even more dangerous than I thought she was before. Yeah. All right. So if we look here, which is an unusual thing, because Venus is known as a great benefic. Oh, God. Oh, do you know what? Oh, are you bloody joking? For some reason, the buttons. Oh, here we go. Okay. For some reason, the buttons aren't working, so I'm having to click on something several times. I think StreamYard is obviously having a funny turn. Let's do share screen here. And then let's get up Dr. Larange's chart, which you have seen me do many a time now. All right, so you should be able to see this. There we go. Let's go expand this away. Let's pull this down a little bit. All right, so here we are. Dr. Larange, yeah, born 14th of June, 1946, 10:54 in Jamaica. Queens, yeah, Queens or Kings, New York. It's Queens, I think it is. Let me just do here, edit data, just to make sure that I've got that right. Yeah, I'll put here Jamaica Hospital. Anyway, I think it's in Queens. It's either Kings or Queens. Sorry, I forget. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's not the most important thing. Here he is, Leo rising, as you've heard me say before, and he has Mars in the first houses. Leo rising is at 6 degrees 51 minutes, and he has Mars tightly conjunct the ascendant, which is one of the reasons why he is so bombastic. Anyone who's got Mars in the first house, they have a lot of energy, they have a lot of passion. Yeah. I've got Mars in the first house. Mine is debilitated, but I have a lot of energy and a lot of passion, as you guys know. Sometimes as well, I have to watch my temper because Mars does deal with anger. Yeah, to control my temper sometimes, particularly when I'm on the tennis court and I get frustrated with myself, and try not to swear and stuff like that because Mars can often use harsh language. But anyway, it's in the sign of Leo, which means he believes he is the king. Yeah. Mars and the Sun are friends. So Mars, Sun, Moon, and Jupiter, they're all friends and they all do well in each other's signs, although technically Mars debilitates in the sign of Cancer, which belongs to his good friend the Moon. He's debilitated yet delighted. Good for the person, not so great for siblings. Anyways, so here we have the warrior in the sign of the king, and obviously that's what Dr. Larange thinks he is. And many people see him that way. And if we look here, you see his Lagna and his Mars both sit in the nakshatra called Magha nakshatra. And Magha nakshatra, the deities of Magha nakshatra are called the Pitris, and that is anyone who is a blood relative or by marriage who has died and passed on. They become your ancestors. So that's even your parents. When they pass, they become your ancestors, grandparents, aunties, whoever. Yeah, they're blood relative to you and they're dead. They're your ancestors. Yeah. So of course now, and what I've established and what this can mean, it can mean to either continue or complete something they weren't. It means that person's been nominated to continue or complete something they weren't able to finish in their lifetimes for their family line. Yeah, so many of my clients, irrespective of their age, have either their ascendant or a planet conjunct this star. I'm in the 90 percentile now. About 90% of my clients will have a placement here now. This is connected with the star Regulus, which goes from 4 to 6 degrees of sidereal Leo. Yeah, which means that his Mars and his ascendant are exactly bang on that star, which emphasizes the energy all the more. Now, if you see here, do you see here? Look, Margaret is spelled M-A-G-H-A, but when you drop the H, what do you get? MAGA. Yeah. So you can literally. Now, this is no insult to anyone that has, planets or stars conjunct Magha nakshatra. Of course, it doesn't mean make America great again, as in Duck Larange. But isn't it interesting, though? Isn't it interesting? The sound is basically the same. Very interesting. And we know what he's trying to do. He is trying to basically bring back an old style of America. He does his racial, dog whistles. And it's not even dog whistles now. It's blatant. That Laura Loomer was outrageous in her comments, saying that if Kamala Harris gets into the White House will smell of curry. I mean, this is just ridiculous. This is school ground kind of stuff. This is school ground kind of stuff. Only young kids who don't know any better say stuff like that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. you know, where US politics is being dragged, you know, but, you know, and a lot of people are still, you know, signing up for this stuff. So I often don't say this, you know, I called Trump Duck L'Orange, but what I keep forgetting to say is my other nickname for him, which is Black Mirror. Yeah. If you polish a piece of obsidian, yeah, or any kind of dark black stone enough, you see it gets a shine to it. And that, if it's flat, can then become a mirror. In fact, some of the first mirrors ever created were precisely that, pieces of obsidian or stuff like that, and because they create a reflection. It's not 100% like with a silver foiled backed mirror, of course, which is a truer representation, although a reflection is still an illusion in many ways. But it's that dark shadow. Duck L'Orange is the dark shadow, the emanation, the stalactite or the stalagmite of part of the American psyche. And, you know, some might find that a bit unsettling, but I think we have to accept that it's true. Yeah. Why else is it still close? Now, obviously, Kamala is doing well, but it's all still, you know, and this is why I've been saying, you know, because some people said to me, stop saying if Kamala wins. And I understand why even using the word if might make people feel a bit uncomfortable, but I'm being realistic. Remember, I read charts, I read the stars, I read the planets, what they're doing. And there's some deeply, deeply troubling and unpredictable stuff going on. Like I was saying the other day, I'm not one of these ones that wants to catastrophize or stuff like that. Certainly not unnecessarily. But remember when I was talking about the star Algol? Yeah, Algol. And I said how it dealt with depositions, treachery, backstabbings, leaders being removed. Yeah. And of course, by that connotation, it can mean assassination. If we look here you'll see Uranus is at 2 degrees 57 minutes and it's currently retrograde. Yeah. So it was going direct, and then I can't remember when did it start going retrograde. In fact, let's do the animated transits just so you can see. This is where I can go backwards and forwards in time. So keep your eye on Uranus here. So let's do weekly. Let's just go back in time and see when that retrograde started. Let's go forward in time and see when he started going retrograde. There we are. So there we are. Look at that. So Uranus went retrograde on the 1st of September. You see, he got to 3 degrees and 3 minutes. The star Algol sits at 1 degree and like 30 minutes, yeah, which is a degree and a half. So really, Uranus is still tightly conjunct that star, particularly when you count an orb of 3 degrees or less. Yeah, which most astrologers do. For Marga, is because its influence is very for Marga, for the star Regulus, which sits in sidereal Leo in the nakshatra of Marga, I count a 5 degree orb because I found that star has that kind of width of influence. I don't know what the traditional associations of Algol are, but anything that's 3 degrees or less is always a strong hit on a star. So you can see here, really, Uranus is still conjunct. And I said, this is why Trump is still in a lot of danger. Yeah. And this is why things are going to be very, very volatile. Because if we look here, if we keep going forward in time, you will see. Now I'm on the weekly here. You will see that number begin to fall, yeah, begin to get lower and lower. And I just want you guys to focus on that number. And then we're going to go to a very specific date. And here we are. And if I go forward daily there we are. Look at that. Do you remember I said the star sits at 1 degree 30 minutes? Let me just make sure. Oh, gee whiz. I should have had this Why do I always do this? I start these videos and I don't have my necessary bits of paper with me. Getting the big one here. See if I've got here. Oh, Deborah. Yes. Oh, actually, pardon me. It's 1 degree, 10 minutes. Anyway, doesn't matter. 1 degree. Yeah. It's 1 degree. If we look here, you can see Uranus will be at 1 degree, 30 minutes on the 5th of November, 2024. You don't need to tell me or I don't need to tell you what's happening on that date, do I? Yeah, the elections. And then if we look at the next day, yeah, it drops even more. So on the election and everything, so in this time frame, from now, these days going forward, up until November through December and January, that intensity of Uranus, the planet of sudden shocks and surprises, will be on our goal. Yeah. So so if we look here, if we do monthly, let's just see. And then so you can see in December, slap bang on the star, and then he will retrograde back into Aries. And he even goes how far does he go? This is like the remnants of that big stellium that I was telling you about in March. Let's see. Oh, look, here we go. What am I doing here? So, yeah, so he goes retrograde into Aries. And then he starts going, direct again. Yeah. Starts going direct again. And then on or around to the 20th of March, 2025, that is when he will re-enter. This is when he will re-enter sidereal Taurus and go back on the star again. Yeah. So this is very, very, very important. So if we go back to the main screen, this is all happening in Trump's 10th house. Yeah, Trump's 10th house. For Kamala Harris, this is happening in her 12th house. So this is why I have some little concerns for her, because the 12th house also deals with hidden enemies. But going back to Dr. Larange, you'll see this is like his Jupiter Ketu started on the 22nd of October, 2023. And that's when the wheels really started to go off. His Jupiter Venus will begin on the 27th of September, 2024. Yeah, today's the 16th. So if we just count forward, what is that? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So that's basically 2 weeks from now. This energy is building. Now, why do I say, could it be that Venus may be even more deadly than Ketu? Which is quite a controversial thing for me to say, because Venus is known as a benefic. Yeah, Jupiter is the greater benefic. Venus is seen as the lesser benefic. But just because a planet is benefic, it doesn't mean it can't do cruel stuff. It all depends where it is, what it's lord of, and where it goes, and who it's with. So for here, with Dr. Larange, Venus, here's his Venus. For all Leos on planet Earth, Venus is the lord of the 10th house and the 3rd house. The third house via the sign of Libra, which belongs to Venus and is the masculine expression. This is part of the reason why Leos can often be smooth talkers, yeah, or they can have seductive speech and stuff like that. You guys might be throwing up at the idea of Dr. Larange having seductive speech. But it can mean influential speech as well, because Venus is the planet of persuasion. We need to remember that. Venus is the planet of persuasion. Look at all the things that Dr. Larange has been able to persuade people to do over the years, and Leos in general. Yeah. But Venus is also the ruler of the 10th house via Taurus. Yeah. And you'll see here, there's 3 planets here for Dr. Larange. Dr. Larange is technically a Taurus. Yeah, in sidereal astrology, not a Gemini, as said in the West. He is Taurus, only by 1 day, You see, look, the sun is at 29 degrees 49 minutes. But when you think about it, he also has a lot of the shadow qualities of Taurus, which can be what? Excessive materialism, possessiveness, stubbornness. Yeah. Too much indulgent in food. Yeah. Maybe sometimes not quite the right food. Yeah. He's not been slim for a long time. Yeah. See, Biden's very different. Biden's skinny. Yeah. Not making a value judgment on it, but I'm just saying he does have these Taurian qualities, gold toilet seats and all that stuff. That Gemini is not into that kind of stuff. Yeah. Sun sign Gemini, they're not into that. That's very Taurian. Yeah. Wanting to show the wealth. Taurus is the sign of tangible wealth. This is why he's so preoccupied with what? His wealth. And he's lying about it. Yeah. And he's got Rahu here, gobble, gobble, which means he's got an even insatiable quality to his desires for wealth, and it's here in the 10th house, which of course is dealing with the career and stuff like that. Uranus is there showing the maverick, a very unconventional, a deeply unconventional person, you know, in their career. Whenever you've got any planet that falls into an angle, its characteristics will become emphasized. So for him, he's got the sun in the 10th house, which is actually the best house for the sun. So anyone who's born near around 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. will have the sun most likely in the 10th house. And of course, Duc Larange was born at, look, 1054. Yeah, so the sun did fall into the 10th house for him. And they say the sun burns a hole in whatever house it's in, except the 10th. So whenever anyone's got the sun in the 10th house, they will gravitate. They will crave, they will desire to become a leader, yeah, a boss, a CEO. Yeah, the sun deals with CEOs, presidents, kings, queens, etc. All of this stuff. You know, Duc Larange did become president, yeah, and it was always his ambition. I think once he got there, it was on the 3rd or 4th attempt, wasn't it? Maybe it was the 3rd attempt. Let's give him that. Let's say 3rd attempt. I think it was the 3rd or 4th, but I think let's say 3rd. Anyway, 3rd time lucky for him. But look, Uranus is there showing a deeply unconventional person. We've all got Uranus somewhere, but this means a deeply unconventional career and something shocking and surprising about the career. It was a shock when he became president. Yeah. But he is having his Uranus return. Yeah. It's begun. Like I said, Uranus will reverse out and then we'll go back in directly. And when he's 84, assuming he lives that long, then he will have his, that's when Uranus will creep up to 24 degrees 47 minutes. You see at the moment, it's only at 2 degrees 57. Yeah. So that means the potential for sudden shocks and surprises for him to happen can happen literally in his public life, which is what we've seen continually. He's always saying something shocking and outrageous in public. He's now been there's been an assassination attempt made on him when he was in a rally. Now it was in the golf course. That's not so public, but you know, apparently some shots were fired. So you know, the 10th house is a very, very powerful house. That's why I call it the glass house. But why am I saying could Venus be even more dangerous? The reason why I say this is this. His Venus sits in the 10th house, in the 12th house. So the Lord of the 3rd and the Lord of the 10th go to the 12th. Now the 12th house deals with what? Endings. It can also be beginnings. Deals with spirituality, deals with, I refer to the 12th house as the land of far, far away. You may have heard me describe it that way before. So it can also deal with exile. But it also deals with prisons and hospitals and endings. So in a way, so think about it. Let's think about what's actually been happening. Trump has already been to the hospital once already. Yeah. And let's not forget, he almost died with, no, I shouldn't even laugh. Forgive the laugh. He almost died when it came to COVID. Do you remember? He was given antibodies, etc. and stuff like that, and he survived. So look, you know, he did have a close shave. But this is why I say this Venus could be more deadly, because his Venus is connected with losses. Now, do you remember I kept on saying, but I'll say it again. I said Venus will decide the election. Whether or not Kamala Harris wins, it would be based on the female vote primarily. I know they say, you know, yes, She's obviously got more of the youth vote. She's got more of the, you know, the black vote, male and female, etc. But there's a big contingency of America where she doesn't have the vote, and primarily men without a college education, white Caucasian men, and Hispanic men in particular. That's a lot of people in the States. This is why this thing is so close. Yeah, that's a big, big demographic. Now, obviously, our numbers have improved, but now there's been another assassination attempt. You know, that might give Trump another bump. Yeah. So now Venus being a benefic, like I said, she may give him the get out of jail free card, which I think has happened already with Eileen Cannon. Yeah. So-called Judge Cannon, the one who got her, you know, I'm not even going to insult Mickey Mouse by saying that she got her law degree at Mickey Mouse, because I think Mickey Mouse would have done a better job, to be honest, off the back of a cereal packet or something like that. Either way, we know she's incredibly dodgy. The reason why I say this is more dangerous is because Venus is a more sophisticated planet than Ketu. Yeah, like I said, Ketu deals with the weirdos, you know, and look, everyone's weird in some aspect of their life or chart. We're all eccentric somewhere. We all have Ketu somewhere. But the point is, and this is why I say sophistication, Venus is also one of the main indicators of money and wealth. The 12th house also deals with hidden enemies. And this is what I think may be going on. Do you remember when and Venus deals with partnerships and business and stuff like that? And do you remember I was talking about J.D. Vance? And do you remember I pulled cards and I said, Trump cannot trust J.D. Vance. He cannot. J.D. Vance, for me, in my opinion, looking at the chart, but looking at the tarot that I did at the time, I can't remember the video, forgive me, but you guys would have seen it. There is a very strong likelihood that Trump's biggest enemy could be his vice president. And I'm not saying that lightly, again, for entertainment purposes only, but I really do believe it to be true. Because Project 2025, they want their agenda to go ahead. And Doug Larange, as he usually does, whenever anything he's associated with anything unpopular, he's thrown them under the bus. Yeah. Oh, I don't know, Project 2025, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Do you know how much money is behind them? How much money? Do you remember when we, on the Hogarth just gone, we were reading, someone asked the question on the Pope, yeah? And then it was, I was reminded, and we were reminded in the comments that many of the, you know, the judiciary, particularly in the SCOTUS, are part of Opus Dei, yeah? Staunch, radical kind of Catholic, you know, yeah, there's a lot of money involved in that as well. And the thing is this, that Uranus in Dr. Larange's 10th house has been a blessing for him, but it's also a curse. The blessing is that he is the maverick, yeah, and it's made him unconventional, and some people just like that, yeah, they just like extra chili sauce on their baked beans, you know. He's been an entertainer. We know that he is a narcissistic sociopath. That is what he is. And many psychologists are now being allowed to come out and give their prognosis. But it's made him very quirky, very unconventional. And, you know, remember as well, Leos are entertainers. It is one of the signs of entertainment as well. And Venus is the planet of entertainment. This is very often why Leos, or people with stelliums in Leos, can often do well in arts and entertainment, because they're getting, you know, they're getting sort of like that boost from Venus. And also as well, one of the nakshatras, which is called Purva Falguni, which is one of the most creative of all the nakshatras, artists, poets, presenters, directors, film, you know, the whole shebang. So many creative people have their planet or their ascendant in Purva Falguni. Yeah, I confess, you know, my Rahu is in Purva Falguni. Look what I'm doing for a living. Yeah. And this, in many ways, even though I'm talking about serious things, it is also, you know, it's on YouTube. It's a form of entertainment as well. Yeah, but informing people. But nonetheless, Venus has a very strong association with the middle of Leo. Yeah, the middle of Leo. So, you know, it really is arts and entertainment in general, very kind of like creative. But what is that Uranus falling into the angle means that he, you know, Dr. Larange is what? Deeply unconventional. Anyone who's got in angle, either in the first house, fourth house, seventh house, or 10th. Now I've got in the fourth, yeah? May not be that obvious, but I'm a very unconventional person. You know, my channel is what? Neo-Vedic astrology with political tarot. Yeah, trust me, they were not dishing out that as an occupation at the Freshers' Fair for careers. Yeah, they really weren't. It's a very unconventional career. Yeah, Uranus in that angle. But that Uranus in the angle in the 10th is also a problem because it means he cannot stay on script, which we have seen. He's constantly bouncing around. And if you're the part of the Opus Dei set and the Project 2025 set, you want your agenda to get across. And you don't want someone going off script or throwing you under the bus and this, that, and the other. And the sense I get is that his benefactors, yeah, Venus can also deal with benefactors, may well be plotting against him. Yeah. And the reason why I say that is look who Venus is with. His Venus is with Saturn and it's with Pluto. This is very malefic. Now we know that, you know, Venus can also, you know, deal with women. So we know, remember all his things with the beauty pageants and all the stuff, all the trafficking. I mean, that can talk about that as well. Pluto is what? Hades, god of the underworld. He was the stealer and abductor of Persephone. But Saturn is government. Never forget, Saturn always will represent the workings of government. So this can talk about foreign governments. Yeah, because it's in the land of far, far away. In fact, many politicians have quite a strong 12th house, by the way, because you need to deal with foreign governments when you're a leader. This can talk about foreign corruption, yeah, or corrupt governments funding Dr. Larange, but this could also be equally governments that might be against him. But more so, this is more for his hidden enemies. These are people that are already said to be in his camp. But I don't think they are in his camp because he's going off the rails too much. And one of the giveaways in the way of this is not only that JD Vance is just strange and showing up as this kind of Ketu type character. Remember what the Pope said in that when we're talking on the Hogarth on Saturday. He said they're both anti-life, and one in terms of Trump and Kamala, and one has to choose the lesser of two evils. Not saying which, but isn't that interesting that they were both considered in the evil bracket according to the Pope? And if one is choosing between the, you know, the fact that he's even mentioned Kamala in the same breath as evil as well is really, and even for Trump, it's a very controversial thing to say, particularly as well in politics. You know, clergy and stuff aren't really supposed to be getting involved in that, and particularly as well, this is the Pope commenting on not only on politics, but politics that's not even relevant to his own country. Yeah, in one of the most consequential political races that is ever going to happen on planet Earth. So this shows a little something. So my sense is that this Opus Dei set could be getting very tired of Dr. Larange. There's also what I want to say. Now, look, do I want Dr. Larange assassinated? No, I do not. I know many people do. Many people do. And A, it wouldn't be good for American. B, what it will do is it will basically hand the GOP the win. Yeah, because it would be the sympathy vote, the scandal, the outrage, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's already a close race, you know. And what I'm thinking is this. Now, follow me here. Pluto deals with deep, dark plots. Here, Trump's Pluto is in Aslesha. Aslesha nakshatra is known as the embrace of the entwiner, but is very, very intense. People can struggle. This is the part of Cancer where people can struggle to let go. We know how much Dr. Larange loves a grudge, but this will also talk about the nature of his hidden enemies, which shows his hidden enemies are extremely determined At the moment, they've been showing up as Ketu, yeah, because he's in the Jupiter Ketu Dasha. It's the weirdos that are trying to get him. But on the 29th of September, this energy will officially click over and Venus will start driving the bus. She has a lot more money. She's a lot more sophisticated. She's associated with the benefactors. And here there is an element here of government. Could it be you know those Project 2025 people? I think there's an even darker side to them than what we know already. Yeah, because we know their ambitions are to be in the government. Look, listen, this ain't the democratic government. Trust me. You know, getting rid of Duc Larange would be a disaster. You know, it could hand him the victory. I think this is more. This is his hidden enemies. Yeah, Kamala would be his open enemy. Yeah, this is hidden. So this is either, you know, foreign government or institutions, because Saturn is also institutions that are not on his side, but maybe presenting in a Venusian way. Venus is collaborations. And let's not forget, J.D. Vance wrote the forward to Project 2025. So he is well up in the kuni with them. Yeah. That's where his true loyalty lies. And he wants to see this thing happen. He also has Venus in the 12th house, but it's without Pluto and it's without Saturn. And one of the things what I should say now before I forget is that when it comes to a vice president, you can share the same strengths, but you can't share the same weakness. But what this says to me is that there really is something very deep and sinister and dark about J.D. Vance. And think about it. This was the man that was referring to Duc Larange as America's Hitler. Yeah, imagine saying that. That's hardcore. And now they're supposed to be friends. We know this isn't true. This cannot be true, and it is showing itself in the chart, the treachery. So again, for entertainment purposes only, what I would say is this: if there is a third attempt and it happens when Venus is driving the car, which will happen, in fact, actually, it's not the 29th, it's the 27th of the 9th, 2024. Forgive me. When this energy will become official, all the way up until what would be the 29th of May, 2027. What I would say is this: if Venus takes the shot, she will not miss. Yeah. If Venus takes the shot, she will not miss. So we'll have to see what happens. I mean, that's a bit intense. I wasn't even intending for it to be that intense. And let me just stop the share. But I have to say what I see. Yeah, I have to say what I see. How long have I been talking? Oh gosh, it's nearly an hour. But I just wanted to share that so you can see the power of these dashes, the power of how these things work. And I think I need to do, because I don't have enough time to do Kamala now, but I think I'll do another solo video just with Kamala, looking at her chart. Remember, she does have a strong fate and destiny connected with the USA chart. Certainly she can be the leader, without a doubt. She can. And we can see why. I can see astrologically why she's in the running. But this Uranus on our goal, even though a lot of people detest Trump, we really don't want anything happening to him until really long after the election. Because if something does happen to him, say like, for example, someone takes another pop shot at him and he's severely injured but still alive, yeah, and it's before the elections, he will get the sympathy vote. It's just not good for America anyway to have these assassination attempts. As diabolical as the things that he says, it's really not good. But when I look at his chart, and when I think of the Project 2025 people and the Opus Dei people who have been cultivating and manipulating Duc L'Orange into this position to do what they want, they may decide that one of the best ways that they can win is to get rid of him at the last minute. You see where I'm going? And then, of course, we all know what happens. If you're the vice president and the leader goes, that means what? J.D. Vance will become the main one. And then let's say this happens a week before the election or something like that. Yeah. Because this Venus starts driving the car on the 27th of September. You know, that might give a bump. That might give a bump. And then JD will be like, oh, isn't this terrible? And blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And then, you know, and then what happened? Because let me tell you, he's even worse than Duc L'Orange. They are nutters. Yeah, this Project 2025 set. So again, for entertainment purposes only, but you can see, you know, my concerns. What I would prefer is if Venus either did prison, but even prison would be, you know, that would, because as long as he's breathing and alive, you know, he can cause problems. Venus in the 12th house can also mean exile. Yeah, exile, because the 12th house is the land of far, far away. And let's not forget, people have been looking at El Salvador. I said Ecuador last time, which was a mistake. El Salvador. Yeah, remember, what is it, Tucker Carlson, the Sun and everyone, and Guilfoyle and the whatnot went there. Let me just pull some cards. I may as well round this out to a 4 hour. What's the energy around Trump? Is there, well, I was going to ask, is there the energy of assassination? Well, of course there is. Let's just see. Will there be another attempt? My feeling is yes, there will be another one. He's in a very dangerous, look at that. Look at that. Do you see the card that twisted out? Aggression. Yeah, this is against Duc L'Orange. Wow. There are people who want him unalived. Let's put it that way. Well, I know many watching probably want that as well, but you're not necessarily going to take a gun and, you know, do something about it in that sense. Let's see what's going on already. So we see there is an imminent threat. Yeah, I'm tuning in. I'm hearing it really quite clearly. Venus will not miss. What's the energy around Duc L'Orange? What's going on? Maybe it's exile. All right, there's the aggression, yeah, against him. As we know, there's been another attempt, or well, we don't know at what level of attempt, but you know, a man with a gun in a bush. Here, yeah, 5 of Cups, you know, loss, disappointment, heartbreak, yeah, feeling sad about things. So, you know, obviously Duc L'Orange can't be feeling that great. Not that we feel that sorry for him, but, you know, golf is one of his happy and safe spaces. Let's not forget that. Someone is working very hard, diligently, yeah. They're working very hard, making plans, executing a plans, being very studious, yeah. This could be the 3rd attempt being worked on, yeah. However, this is also a matter of timing as well. Whoever's plotting this thing is not liking what's on the table. I mean, obviously, let's say, for example, if we look at maybe Opus Dei or Project 2025, I think this is their dissatisfaction with Trump, yeah? Not liking the way that he's behaving, and maybe they're starting to consider something a bit more extreme. And then if we look here, we have got the Two of Wands, and twos are all about making decisions. But you see here, look, this is also the man looking at the globe. So again, I will repeat again. I've said it many times. I think Trump may try and run for it. Yeah, may try and run for it, because if he gets the information, for example, that the Project 2025 people may actually kind of have it in for him, then he may decide that the best thing for him to do is go. Yeah. So he may decide that. It still hangs in the balance, but this Venus, I think, is very dangerous for Duc L'Orange. And it's looking like it's either going to be exile or defeat by women, which I would hope would happen in terms of the electorate. But it could even be at, yeah, which is already bubbling and brewing. But if there is a third attempt, it will not miss. Yeah, so I'm just going to leave it there. Thank you so much for everyone for watching this video. Please don't forget as well to like and subscribe and press the bell notification. I will leave it there. Thank you so much, and I will catch you soon. Oh, God, can I end the recording?